Well, hello there. So, final parts? What do you think? No, not really. We still have some work to do. The airport is still not finished. So, in this part, this is gonna be part 1 of 2, where I create the airport, and yeah, I will take you on this journey of how I did this. If you're new here, we're talking about a short animated movie that I did. You will see it right here. And yeah, I would say let's get started and see how I created this big, massive scene. It was actually way too big that I thought, but it's still fun. So let's start. Okay, so the first thing was I created some textures for the ground for the airport, because it needs to have like a structure, like a concrete texture or whatever. So I took some pictures, I found some online that I could use, flatten them, and yeah, as you see in Photoshop, I just aligned them into one texture, and I just used them around the airport for the ground. So where the buildings are in front and the back, I just played around to see what fits best for the purpose. And yeah, this is basically it. I didn't put any like additional geometry to it because I knew it would be in the background, so it wasn't really necessary to put so much effort into it. So I yeah, just put some in the back, some in the front, and that was it. Then I created the runway. Basically, the runway was also pretty basic. As you see, it's just a flat plane. I put some curbs on the side just to add a little bit more detail. The texture was from, I believe, from Blender Kit. It's a free add-on for Blender. I think Blender comes with it already. It's pre-installed, so you just need to activate it. And there are a lot of textures, models, stuff like that. So this is really cool. Yeah, also created on Photoshop some small like texture assets that I could use all over the place. So the crosswalks, the arrows, some lines. I did a little bit of research of how how airports look like. I had some references there, but didn't do like a ton. So maybe if someone's working at the airport and saying, "Hey, that's not how airports look like," I don't know. You have to deal with that. Yeah, but overall, I used those crosswalks, those lines, put them all over there. Some numbers, number 7, because I believe Storm Eagle is from the 7th like unit or something. I read it somewhere, so I thought, okay, it would be cool to use the 7 here and there. 7th Airborne unit, something like that. And yeah, to have something actually around the airport, because the airport itself is like, it's the ground and the airport itself, but around it there is nothing much there. I wanted to have something in the background to stand out, to make it more interesting. So I decided to create some power lines around the airport that would be in the background, maybe a little bit blurry, so that would be a little bit more interesting. Plus also with the first shot, with the spinning around, I wanted to make the shot a little bit more interesting, so I put them in front of the camera so that they just like swipe through the shot to also give you the sense of scale. That helps a lot if you have something like moving in front of the camera in front of the actual object that you're looking at. So that gives you a sense of scale because how fast it's passing by the camera. So yeah, that was really cool to do. And also I took some assets of like debris and rubble and some trash, or I don't know what that really was, more like rocks and just debris overall. And I scattered them around the ship to make it like it actually impacted the the asphalt, the runway, and it's damaged. So in Photoshop I like adapted the color a little bit to make it more fitting to the asphalt color. And then I put it around the whole ship so that it looks like that's the damage that the ship made. Also behind the ship, also like it crashed and slid across the runway. So behind that, there's also the smoke in the back. We'll come back to that. And yeah, also use some other assets with stones and rocks and everything and scatter them around the whole scene to make it look more damaged, and yeah, that if a lot has happened in that scene. So that was the main purpose. Plus, I also checked always the camera, because the camera is also already set. So I just put stuff there that would be also in the camera. So if it's not in the camera, not visible, I didn't put it there. Yeah, and here you see I created the small little bird characters. Basically, it's in one small shot where he's looking at it and thinking like, oh damn, what happened here? And those little birds, they are actually also in the game. I'm not sure, sometimes they are shown as friendly, sometimes they're shown as like enemies. Plus Storm Eagle also like spits out an egg and they come out, but I'm not sure if they are the same as the friendly ones, so I wasn't sure, but I thought, okay, it would be cool to show other birds so that he can have an emotional response to their death, basically. So yeah, I created them like a little beak. I made them a little bit more technical that they actually are. That was kind of cool. I know they will be very much in focus, so very close to the camera. So I had to make them a little bit more detailed than I wanted, basically, because I didn't really know how to add more detail at that point. Right now, I think I'm a little bit better at that. But it was still a little bit tricky. But it was still fun, so I created those eyes. I created, yeah, there you see that's the close-up shot. So that was just like a test to see, okay, how close will it be? What will be visible and what not? The back part in the end won't be visible that much, but I still wanted to make it like fully modeled. This little wings, I thought, okay, that would also be cool, like for the Storm Eagle to be made out of carbon. So I made them first like the real template looked like. So those little wings, and I put a carbon texture on them, so it looks actually like flexible but sturdy material. That was really cool. Yeah, align them a little bit. And yeah, the whole thing is just adding details. Okay, these are the claws actually. Okay, they're important because they actually have in the game and also in the official artworks, they have like real feet and claws. But yeah, overall the whole process was just adding detail, adding more stuff to it, so that it's in close-up it looks kind of good and interesting, just for the few seconds that they are in there. Yeah, I took some textures. I aligned them, as you see on the top left part, to have one big texture where I can use the model and just move it around and see what fits best. So I did mostly that, some technical and mechanical textures. I just slapped them onto the bird, and then I basically yeah, just saw, okay, what looks best, and I enhanced some texture details if it was necessary. So yeah, that's what's happening there. The beak is a regular metal texture, I believe. It's I think the same texture as the beak of the Storm Eagle. And yeah, as you see, I just put the texture on and then took some parts out of it and like extruded them and make them like real geometry, because that sometimes feels more real when you see it in close up. But it was really tricky because for the bird, I wasn't really sure what I was doing, if that makes sense. I didn't make like a proper sketch or like a drawing to go after. I just made everything up as I was going, so that was a process that was not really ideal, I would say. So I would just look at the model and say, okay, what can I do? What can I do? And improvising and trying things out, and then again not, and going back and forth. So that was very, very convoluted, and I wouldn't do that again. Plus also the textures that I created, they had very different colors. So I could, when I thought, okay, let's take this part of the texture, that doesn't look right, I take the other one and suddenly it has a complete different color. So it didn't also really work well. So there was a lot of work with that. Also had some cables. I had some cables left from the octopus shot, from the snake. That there were some cables that are going out of the mouth. So I took those and put on the bird. Also, that it looks more dramatic when there are cables hanging out of the mouth. So it looks even more horrible than it already is, like just a inanimate object. It looks like a robot. Okay, that's fine. But when you see cables hanging out of the mouth, it really looks more like, oh my god, what happened here? So yeah, that was really cool. Also, one eye is out. There are also, I think, in the end, there are also some cables hanging out of one eye. I thought, okay, it's an eye, so it is something optical. So we also have like 3 receptors for light, for red, green, and blue. So I thought, okay, let's put some red, green, and blue cables out of, go out of the eye, so to have it a little bit more like practical. That actually makes sense to have those cables hanging out. Yeah, so that was fun. But overall, as you see, just trying out textures, adding details, some pieces here and there, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, still playing around with the metal texture. I still wasn't really happy with it, but it's going well. Yeah. These are the 3 cables that I was talking about. Blue, green, red. Creating some little ending parts. I believe that was mostly it. Yeah, just aligning some stuff here and there, so that looks good. More cables. And that was it, I think, yeah. So for the bird, that was it. Yeah, I added more cables to the whole scene. I thought it would make more sense when the ship is ripped apart. There are still some parts that are still connected, like cables, hoses, or whatever. So it makes it more like torn apart, that these pieces actually were once together. So the best way to show that is when there's still something hanging in between. Yeah, also added some detail to the power lines, because I thought, okay, when they are passing by very close to the camera, there should be a little bit more detail, otherwise it might look cheap. But I didn't put that much effort into it, so it's enough, I would say. But some people, when they pause the video, they would say, okay, that's some low poly asset, that's not really much effort put into, and yeah, you would be right. So yeah, I just put some little plates in the corners with some bolts, and that's it. I thought for this like split second it would be enough, and I think it actually is enough. Nobody will look too closely. Maybe some people, but not many. I also decided to add more details to the ship still. So I had an asset of an engine that I found really cool. So I thought, okay, that would be a cool part to stick out of the ship, to have it there. So yeah, I put some more details, and also I created some assets of my own. That was, I think, the first time I actually did something like this. So I took some pictures in my hometown. I walked around and I found those little engine parts, and I tried to model them using the pictures that I took, and also using the pictures as textures, as references, but also as a texture to put on them. So that was really cool to have my own asset created after a real object. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm trying to recreate the whole thing with all the details, the bolts, the little plates and everything. And then I took the images, I'll align them, and then I basically projected those images onto the 3D model, as you see right now. And that was actually fun. That was really cool and really interesting technique, and I like it, and I'm still using it to this day. So that's something that's really cool. I like it. I like that approach, because you can have a lot of detail without creating a new geometry, basically. So for that was really perfect. As you see, I just align the textures onto the geometry that it fits. And from far away, I mean, for this engine, it was just very far away. It was necessary to put that much effort into it. I still wanted to learn this technique, so I put a lot of effort into this piece. Yeah, it's already done, but it's not very visible in the final shot, so I thought, okay, whatever, it's good enough. I also put the engine also on the birds, because why not? They need to fly and have some motors in them or whatever, so I thought, okay, let's just put them on the back of the birds. So what are we doing here? Oh, now I am creating the tower, the main tower that is also in the game. So you see it on the right side. That's the original game asset that I'm trying to recreate, and this is what I'm doing right now. I'm creating like a storage space basically for those tanks. And I thought, okay, let's recreate those, because these are a kind of big part of the level. You can shoot at them and they explode, and you can find I think I one up behind them. So that was very cool. So I wanted to definitely to have them in the stage. So I took those, and yeah, I just made like a little storage area for them. I used real footage of like gas canisters, and used the texture also on the canisters on the 3D objects, so that it looks more real. And as you see, it works pretty well. Yeah, that was fun playing out with the textures and trying to make this little 16-bit asset to make it like a real thing. That's the whole concept of the whole video, I know, but especially with the canisters, it was fun to see. Okay, how can I recreate those? As you see, I also took the flame as a template to recreate it as much as possible. I painted a little bit, and that was pretty fun. Also, there were those letters DA. Didn't know what they were for. In the end, someone on a Twitch stream, I think, said, yeah, it's for danger, of course. So I thought, of course, so I could put the whole writing around the whole thing, not just the DA. So that makes sense. Yeah, so I just scatter them around. They are just laying there because it should look like there was a big explosion or whatever. And yeah, I just put them around the scene. And it works pretty well with the rubble around them, and also later on with the smoke and everything. I think it works very good. Again, using the same concrete textures as with the ground for the wall. And that was also pretty cool. Worked pretty well. So yeah, I thought I used those too. Also, what you saw there was some asset packs that I got from Ian Hubert. When you're like one of his patrons, you get all his assets and tutorials and everything. So I used some of those also in the scene. That's really cool, really handy. Thank you, Ian, if you're watching this. Probably not, but yeah, it's I can definitely recommend it to if you want to use cool assets in your scene. That's really nice. And yeah, I put those little like boxes on the sides to add more to make it more realistic. Also, thank you to Abdu if you're watching this. He's also a very cool dude from Algeria, and he's watching my streams, and he gave me a very cool tip how to create the windows, because there are many ways to do glass, but I wanted to have it as a certain way, and he gave me a really cool tip how to do the glass. So thanks, Abdu. That was really cool, and I'm still using this to this day. It's a very cool, efficient, and fast way of creating a window like shader. Yeah, so yeah, now you see I'm taking the airport sign on top of it and using as a template to have it also as close as possible to the original thing. So I'm porting it into Illustrator, and I just trace the whole sign, because that was the easiest way. So as you see, I'm just recreating the letters. I'm creating the whole thing, and then I could import it into Blender, because you can import I think SVG files, and yeah, I could create geometry out of it and then have the airport logo recreated like it was before. That was also a very interesting part I used for the fire. There were mostly not real fire like simulations. It was just videos of fire that I got, I think also from Ian, but also from Action VFX. You can just get footage of fire. You can import it as a video 2D plane and place them at the right angle, at the right distance and everything. The black parts are gone, and then you have basically real fire in your scene, and it when you don't spin around it, it works totally, and it's totally believable. So I used a lot of those just 2D videos, basically put everywhere on the scene to have it to have fire elements. You can also make them emit light, so they actually interact with the environment. That was really cool. So they don't stand out that much. So that's really cool. Here I still thought it's still not interesting enough, the top part of the bridge, so I thought, okay, let's add even more detail, add more stuff to it. So I created a few small assets that I put in there just to have something there. I'm not sure if that worked really well. It kind of did, yeah. In the end, I'm happy with it. Yeah, as you see also there, the texture's flat. There are some details, so I extrude them and make them real geometry so that it adds more believability. Yep. Again, some pipe assets also from Ian. Thank you very much. These are easy assets, I would say, very, very simple assets, but if you do a lot of them, you actually it takes a lot of time, so it's good to have some of those. Also with the smoke, as you've seen, it's already gone. I did the same as with the fire, so there's footage of smoke. You can add it as a 2D video, put it in the scene, and if it's in the background or whatever, it totally works. So it's a very cool way to have smoke without simulating smoke. That's actually takes a lot of time to render and to calculate. You just put a 2D video of smoke and it works. So all the smoke in the background and everything that you see, it's just 2D smoke videos. Also from Ian Newbert and also from Action VFX. Yeah, those some free assets, I think. Yeah, so there I'm creating some doors for the storage, because I thought, okay, in the game they are just all the canisters are exposed, but in reality there would be some kind of door or I don't know, some gate or whatever. So I imagined, okay, some kind of doors would be cool, some foldable doors maybe that are open. So I found a really cool texture of a metal door, and I repeated it and used it for all the parts of the tower. These little like poles are also part of the game. They are like little elevators. There's a little platform that I'm building right now, that is actually going around this like a rail, and these are representing those parts of the level. So as you see, the platform, I created this and also like scattered it around, and those rails, they are also like leaning on the tower, and these are some like small references to the game. Thought I'm not sure anyone actually like recognized those parts, but maybe someone did, so that's cool. Yeah, they're seeing again smoke. Yeah, these are the smoke like columns or stacks for the background. So as you see, it's just a flat 2D thing, but if it's far enough in the background, it works. It's funny to see it from a different perspective, that it's just very cheap, like 2D smoke here and there. But it adds a lot of realism to a scene, and simulating all the smoke, creating like very like real volumetric fog, that would be too much, definitely. It would be overkill, so I thought, no, I'll take definitely the 2D approach. And yeah, I'm also using the same textures again, as you see. So you have different patches of different concrete textures, but if you slide the texture around, you can use it all over the place, and it never looks repeated. So that's very cool. So I used it for the other tower. Also, I used a picture that I took myself of a rolling gate. I don't know how they're called. And also used it for the tower, and also again those engine assets, pipe assets, those little boxes, electric boxes or whatever they are. Just put them on the tower, left and right on the buildings. This adds more detail, more believability. So that's really handy to make it very fast, very good looking. So as you see, yeah. Some of those parts are actually very, very close to the camera, so I had to make sure that they actually look good. Yeah, these are also some pictures I took myself, stitch them together in Photoshop to have like a cool concrete texture. Yeah, and just put it on there, and it works, as you see. It's it's a really cool technique to add more details, to add more like real life stuff, because it is actually real life. So hey, why not just take it from the real life and put it inside the scene. These things are also in the game, so if you've seen the stage, unfortunately I don't have any screenshot of the level right now here, but or maybe I will just put it in there. So I would say it will be down there right now. Those poles and those grids are also in the level, and I wanted to also have them in the scene. So I thought, okay, what could they be? And I thought, okay, this could be like a construction site or parts of a construction, like supporting structures, because the airport is not finished or it's being renovated or whatever. And I thought, okay, let's create those structures and put them around the building. So that was actually really cool. And again, I wanted to create some buildings, so I had some images of buildings and other stuff. Some of them found on the internet, some of them I took myself, and yeah, I aligned those, created new texture like packs, one big texture with small patches of different building parts. And I believe then, okay, first more smoke, but then I added those textures to the buildings. Yep, again, more smoke, canisters. Yeah, some adjustments here and there. That always happens. A little bit here, a little bit there. And then I started to sketch out the terminal. That's basically the terminal, yeah. I had some reference pictures, but all the terminals on the world look different, so I didn't know what to do. So I sketched out some ideas. It's always good to start out with a sketch, because you can fast like erase things or add things and see if it works or not. Unfortunately, I was happy with the sketch, but when I created it in the scene, it didn't really work. So I had to actually change the whole concept again. But yeah, this will happen later on, because first I thought, okay, that's cool. But after a while, I thought, okay, this does not work. It doesn't feel fitting to the scene, so I changed it. But for now, we're gonna pretend it's what was right to do in this moment. So the whole architecture was like very random. I just thought, okay, what would a terminal look like? And it's yeah, it has some columns, some bows here and there. So it might look cool, but yeah, I wasn't really sure about it. I thought, yeah, maybe the windows have like a structure in front of them to make it more interesting. And I thought, okay, yeah, well, let's see. Does it mean anything? No, not really. Maybe some supporting structures, but yeah, I thought, let's do a building. But after a while, I thought, okay, this building looks too much like a little airport from our time and our world. I used a lot of concrete there, and after a while, I realized, okay, this is like a sci-fi scenario, and this looks too old, too run down, not sci-fi enough, but also too worn out, I would say. I'll describe it like that. I'm not really sure, but it didn't really fit into the whole world of the Mega Man universe. So later on I changed it, but for that moment it felt right. Yeah. I also used again more assets, more pipe assets to connect all the buildings. So the tower with the terminal. That's also, if you have like an asset pack, it really helps to just play around with them, just move them left and right, and connect them together to build new things. So that's really cool thing to have. Yeah. Also trying to use real like from photos some textures to add to the airport, to the terminal. Create like a little gangway, like this little hose that goes to the planes. But in the end, I also deleted it, I think. So yeah, that was a big learning exercise for me to see, okay, what works good and what not. And it was weird, but as you see, the ideas, the thought behind it was actually a good one, I think. Taking real photos of like a terminal from outside and putting them in there, and from far away it works. It looks alright, I think. But yeah, the style, the design didn't work for me in the end. So I thought, okay, I have to change it up a bit. Oh, and Blender crashed. I think it crashed a few times during the whole thing. Yeah, to make it more interesting, I actually added like a parking lot, or maybe, I don't know, some subterranean part. But that will be in the next time. So in the next video. So we will make a cut here, and the last part, this will be the last part overall of the whole series. We're gonna finish up the airport, so there are just a few things that have to be done. I think the overall surrounding areas, those little buildings, some trucks here and there, I'm gonna do that with the next video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and look also forward to the next video, which will be the last. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. That helps me a lot. If you have any comments, questions, whatever, please write them down in the comment section. And besides that, looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.